On top of that, and this is also hilarious, if we missed it over the weekend, was this battle of the who's the tough guy between the Colombian president and Trump. Okay, so this is the Colombian president. He's funny for a lot of reasons. We're going to get into that. But essentially, part of rounding up these people is we're going, okay, where are you from? You're from Colombia. You got to go back to Colombia. Okay, I'm sorry, hombre. And so Trump gets a military plane together and he sends all of these illegals to Colombia. And guess what? The president, that Mr. Gustavo Petro is his name, posts on X that he barred U.S. planes that were carrying Colombian migrants, so these are his citizens, from entering the territory because, quote, the U.S. can't treat Colombian migrants like criminals. Okay. He then demanded, so that flight had to divert to Costa Rica. He then demanded that the U.S. put procedures in place for migrants to be, quote unquote, treated with dignity. Okay. And this is weird because last year they accepted deportation flights. There were 124 planes that came from the U.S. and landed into Colombia. But President Petro said that his problem was that these deportees were on military planes rather than civilian flights. And he didn't like the way that the migrants may have been treated, which is a bizarre thing to say on the military flights. Like nobody's punching them in the face. They're just on military flights. But in his posts on X, he referenced videos that were showing the migrants and they were handcuffs and they also had their feet restrained. So I'm going to show you that footage here. And for those of you that are listening on audio, you just see a bunch of, it's not families, it's grown adult Colombian men. And they're all walking and they have their feet shackled, which you can see. Maybe you can't see from this angle, but you'll see it as we keep going on. Their feet are shackled and their hands are shackled. And so this is what has upset the president. He's like, this is inhumane. Why are their hands shackled? And this might also be what Selena Gomez doesn't understand. She doesn't understand, she says, like, why are their hands shackled? So let me help you both. Because they broke the law. Okay? I don't know if it's like a foreign concept, arresting. What happens when you get arrested? Your hands get shackled. So you are free once they land into your country, sir, to say, I don't think this is a high crime, and to ask for the keys, and we're free. You can release them wherever you want. These are the forests of Colombia. They can do whatever it is you want. The playas de Colombia, okay? Colombianas. That's fine. They just can't be in our country because they broke the law. And it's tremendous to me as someone who married an immigrant, okay, to go through the process legally. I'm just stunned. Do you guys not know, like Selena crying, Colombian president, did you not know there's an option to come into this country legally? That's I don't know, that just completely seems crazy. Like the only way that you can get in is through the southern border and by breaking the law, because that's not a reality. And the people that go through the process like I do, and it takes years, it just frustrates me when they are signaling to us that the years that we spent, the paperwork, the interviews that my husband and I have had to do, and they get to just go, well, we snuck in. And so now we want the rights and we want free handouts and we want welfare benefits. And that's what we got under President Biden. Anyways, so he, going back to this, narrative where the Colombian president, Petro, decides to divert the plane. He's like, I'm a tough guy. Well, it turns out Trump then, this has all happened on Sunday, hits Truth Social and on X and basically says, you want to play tough guy? Here's what I'm going to do. He writes, I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and the public safety of the United States. So I have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. 1, emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States. In 1 week, the 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. So let me tell you why that's really relevant before I read the rest of these. Guess what the number one thing that Colombia exports to the United States? Roses. They're huge flower exporters, okay? And Valentine's Day is coming up. So this is the time where they just inundate us with their number one product. And now Trump's like, okay, you want to play tough guy? Well, guess what? We're going to add a 25% tax, and then it's going to go up to 50% a tariff on you sending all of this stuff in. Going back to his list, he says a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all of their allies and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Enhanced custom and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. And IEEPA Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. So he's just not playing around. And instantly, okay, first the president of Colombia, Petro, responds and says, this is all happening on X, by the way, which is amazing. He writes, "Your blockade does not scare me because Colombia, besides being the country of beauty, is the heart of the world." He writes back poetry. He writes back attempted poetry to Trump saying, like, you're going to pay for this financially. But then what happened was behind the scenes, Petro's administration immediately folded, okay? In a late night news conference, the foreign minister, Luis Murillo, announced that the two countries had overcome the impasse and that Colombia would accept their returned citizens. Okay. But to make the president feel good, he said he's gonna send the presidential plane. Essentially, the Colombian Air Force One to pick them up. Buddy, if you want to send your Air Force One back and forth to pick up the illegals, we are totally cool with that. Like, this is not a problem for us at all. And so that's what's happening. Trump won. It was a 24-hour standoff. And this is what it means to have a leader at the forefront of the country, not someone who's just bending over and saying, okay, well, we'll do whatever it is that you want. And so the only thing that Petro had left was name calling. So he called Trump on X a white slaver. And so he really wrote this on X. He wrote, "I don't want slavers next to Colombia. We already had many and we freed ourselves. You don't like our freedom? Okay. I don't shake hands with white slavers." Ooh, okay, tough guy. We get it. And I would be careful going around name calling, because this is a random fun fact you should probably know about the Colombian president. And that fun fact is that he got caught with a transgendered woman. Yeah, this is a real headline. Married Colombian President Gustavo Petro says he's not gay after he is seen in Panama with trans woman Linda Yeeps. And so this is the video of him walking with, I don't want to be in trouble for misgendering on YouTube. He's walking with Linda, got caught, folded, and just wanted to reiterate to the public. And so since I'm a supporter of him and his beautiful country, I will reiterate what he said. He's not gay, guys. You're just transphobic. And that's literally what he said to the press. He's not gay. You're just transphobic. And I want to remind all of you guys that is the reality. I don't know what the heck is going on in the world. So I am obviously caught. I mean, this is crazy. Somebody tweeted, Candace Owens makes time to go after the president of France while doing a deep dive on Justin Baldoni. This girl is unhinged and I love it. Pregnancy be like that, you guys. So to remind you of why, because a lot of people ask, why are you invested in this story? I have been a critic, a reporter, and an obsessive when it comes to the Me Too movement since its very inception. Since Kesha was caught crying in the back of the courtroom in 2015. So it's not about Hollywood to me. It's about the idea that a woman can make an allegation and a man can lose everything. It doesn't sit well with me because I have now 3 sons, okay? 1 still in the oven, 2 that are out and running around. I can't deal with the world where women can just go, oops, he did this, and they lose everything. I just can't do it, right? So when I see these stories and I just start looking behind and peeling the layers of the onion, I'm like, okay, I just get quite obsessive. It is true. And so what I did over the weekend, I did this live, is literally I woke up and had 3.5 million views telling people that I was getting all this information about what went down behind the scenes. And we were getting closer and closer to what appears to be the truer narrative, which is that at some point, Blake and Justin got a little too flirty. Blake had feelings. Ryan Reynolds allegedly went psychotic. So what I've done today for you guys, I've actually built out a timeline. I will share this on Instagram after the show because the timeline really makes it clear that something very much happened when Ryan Reynolds came home because of the SAG-AFTRA strike that took place in July of 2023. And whatever happened when he came home, he starts paying attention at the same time. So it ends with us, okay? And Deadpool and Wolverine were filming at the same time. So Ryan was away from home because Deadpool was filming in Canada and England. I know way too much about this. And Blake Lively was home because It Ends With Us was filming in New Jersey and she lives in New York. So that would have been like a cab ride back and forth. So they were away from each other at the beginning of this filming. And then about 6 months in is when the Writers Guild Association strike happened and the SAG-AFTRA strike happened and production got shut down. You vaguely remember this. Maybe you're not, I know nothing about Hollywood either, but I do remember that there was like this huge shutdown where like writers couldn't write and every production, they just had to stop. And so then Ryan came home, okay? So I'm giving you the background of the story, so you should just know that for Justin Baldoni, he has been involved in this story, telling this story of Colleen Hoover's book, It Ends With Us, since 2019. 2019 is the year that Wayfarer Studios acquired It Ends With Us, okay? And he was ecstatic about this. He spent so much time meeting in groups with women, trying to learn why they loved the book. He wanted to make sure that if he told the story, it was from a female gaze. I am telling you, this dude, it is something that brings the left and the right